it's Rebecca here from Precious Pages Papercraft, and today I'm designing a layout for Hip Kit Club using the fantastic November 2022 kits, and I absolutely adore this kit. November is always one of my favourite kits. It's the Hip Kit sort of Christmas collection, if you like, and this one is full of stuff. Like, I don't think I have ever seen a kit with so much in it, which is saying something, because the Hip Kits are really generous anyway, but this month there just seems to be so much in this kit, so I was really spoilt for choice when it came to choosing what to use today. But it's Mixed Media Monday, so I'm going to be getting a little bit messy with some mixed media, which is fun because it feels like it's been a little while since I've had a play with mixed media, so I really enjoyed making this layout. Got a couple of photos here of my little boy with Santa. I couldn't wait to scrap these photos because he's normally a bit scared of Santa. He likes the idea of Santa and the fact that Santa brings presents, and he always asks Santa for things, and we write a note to Santa and all of that, leave a mince pie out and everything. But when it comes to actually seeing Santa, he normally freaks out and doesn't like it. But we recently took a trip on the Polar Express and Santa came down our carriage, and obviously there was nowhere to hide, bless him. And he actually posed for some photos with Santa and really enjoyed it. So it's a first for me to have photos of him with Santa. So excited to scrap with these. And I'm kind of drawn my inspiration from the colours in the photo. There's a lot of red and a lot of green, like a minty green colour. And they actually feature quite heavily in these kits, which was fantastic for me. So I've started off with a Shimmers product. It's a creamy, so it's a solid paint in a little pot. And you have to add some water to it to activate and kind of mix it up. And the colour is called Pining for You, and it's a fantastic green for Christmas. It's got a little bit of a shimmer to it, not too much, which I like. It's not too overpowering with shimmer, but it has got a little bit, which is nice. So I've added that to my background just around the edge where my photos will sit, using the scouring side of a sponge. Let that dry and rolled a paper towel over it to dry it. And now I'm coming in with one of the Hip Kit exclusive stamps. I love this. It's fantastic texture stamp to add to your backgrounds, and it's got the word cheer repeatedly on it, overlapping and all sorts. It's fantastic. And I've used a red ink for that one, and it's a Pinkfresh Studio ink pad called Passion Fruit. It's one of their premium dye inks. Both these products come in the November colour kit. And I've just added that down one side of the page just to add a bit of interest and sort of texture. And now I'm adding some splatters, that's the word I was looking for, splatters to my background. And that's another Shimmers product from the colour kit, and that's an original Shimmers, so it's a wet paint in a little pot. Still stir it kind of to mix up all the shimmer and activate it. It's all the colour and the shimmer kind of sits at the bottom of these pots, so do give them a good stir and mix it all up. And that one is called Christmas Cheer, and it's a gorgeous sparkly gold colour, and it's full of sparkle, that one. So I've added some splatters with that. Then I've come back in with the green, the Pining for You, and added some splatters and some larger splatters. I kind of held the paintbrush up, saturated it with the paint first, held it up in the air, and then used my fingers just to squeeze the bristles down so that the paint fell from height and created some really big splatters. And where some of those have mixed with that gold paint, it's left some of the green ones really shimmery as well. So I really love how that's turned out. And I didn't want to roll the paper towel over it this time, because when you do that, although it dries the ink quickly, it soaks up a lot of the colour and it doesn't leave your splatters as bold as they are left to air dry. But I'm obviously way too impatient for that, so I've plugged my heat gun in. Had to find it, it's been a while since I've used it. So you might have noticed I disappeared off camera for a little bit just now. That was me finding my heat gun. So now I'm just going to get that dried. And there we go, as a close up for you. When I dry things with my heat gun, I do tend to try and dry both sides, so underneath the cardstock and on top, just to try and prevent warping a little bit. I haven't used any gesso on this background. Gesso is a primer that you can add to your cardstock, and it allows you to kind of mix and move the colours around a bit more. So if you're adding lots of water to your background, it's fantastic. But it can stop warping a little bit as well. I'm not a massive fan of gesso, and if I can avoid using it, I do. So I knew I wasn't going to add a lot of water to this background, so I haven't used the gesso, so there was quite a bit of warping. but nothing that won't be fixed with a heavy book on top or putting the layout in an album, so I'm not too worried about that. So that's all dry now. I'm going to back my photos with some of the Hip Kit exclusive cardstocks. These are in the cardstock kit, and I love these this month. So they're always double-sided, but they're normally kind of textury pattern on one side and a dotty pattern on the reverse. This month you've got the textured side, and then on the background, I should have showed you a bit really, it's fantastic. On the other side you've got stripes. So the colour that you see on the A side, you've got white and that colour striped on the reverse, so they are fantastic. So you really get a lot of cardstock for your money with those, and you get 2 of each sheet as well, which is good. And after I've done those, one in green and one in red, and then I decided I wanted to add a little bit more to my background, and this is a Hip Kit stencil I'm using here. There are 3 stencils this month in the colour kit. It really is a full-on packed colour kit. So you get 3 stencils, you get 2 shimmers products, you get the Pink Fresh Studio ink dye that I'm using here, and you also get I don't know if it's a Nouveau or a different product, I can't remember now, but it's very similar to a Nouveau Crystal Drops, in kind of like a minty green colour. So all of that in the colour kit this month, it's fantastic. But I've used that Pink Fresh ink pad and a blending brush to add some colour through one of the Hip Kit exclusive stencils. You can see the other side of the cardstock there, so you do get to see it, that gorgeous striped pattern. Sorry, I feel like I'm really easily distracted during this video. I keep seeing pretty things and, ooh, there's that, ooh, there's that. So do forgive me. It's been a while actually since I've made a process video, so obviously a little rusty. Going through the die cuts now and trying to decide what I want to use. And like I said, there are so much in these kits that I really was spoilt for choice. I've used some of the kind of puffy stickers for my title, got Merry Christmas, and I love those. It's a kind of 12 by 6 sheet, but it's double-sided, so you get absolutely loads of stickers on that. Fantastic product. So I'm using that for my title, and then I've got some die cuts here. I'm using a couple of kind of tags that I'm going to pop up the top behind one of my photos. And I've got a few on the page at the moment that don't stay there. I was just kind of testing a few things out. I've got that snow globe over on the right, but I really wanted a Santa instead, and I'd used the die cut Santa on my previous layout. So I'm just having a flick through all the products here to see if I can find a Santa, and thankfully I do. I find a sticker Santa, so I end up using him. But I want to get things stuck down before I add too much more to the page, because I always end up with loads on the page and loving how it looks, and none of it is ever stuck down, so I then have to pull everything off, and it never goes back in the same place. So trying to stick as I go here. I've got some more puffy stickers there. I've added a little Christmas tree over onto the left. I've got that little piece there, that die cut that says ho ho ho. I thought that worked really well with this layout. Obviously I've got a photo with Santa in, so I'm going to stick that underneath. I don't want to put too much on my photos, so I'm going to bring the layout down a little bit. So I've got almost my embellishments will go diagonally through the page, just like my title does. So there I've got my little sticker Santa in place now, and I've also added a puffy Christmas gift as well that kind of slots in between the ho 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 and the Santa. I've got die cut over on the left of a present that's on top of the Christmas tree, and I picked that because it's got that mustard yellow coloured bow on it, and the present on the right hand side brought in a little bit of that mustard, so I didn't just want to have one thing on the layout with that colour, so I've brought in something on the other side as well. Now just a few puffy stickers with some sentiment phrases on. I absolutely love those. They're great little products just to add some detail. I think this pack is from the Pocket Life kit, which is fab because it's always made up of lots of little things, and I love adding little bits here and there to a page. I've also added some puffy stars as well in red and green around the page. And now I've decided that I've almost finished my layout, but I've added so many of the embellishments, and I realised I've not used any pattern paper on this layout at all, and I always like to use some paper. So I've got a mixed media background, I've got loads of little embellishments, and no paper, so I decided I want to add a frame to the page, and there's this gorgeous mint green patterned paper that works perfectly with my colour scheme. So I've just gutted the middle of it so that I've got that for another project. And then I have trimmed my white background down by 1/4 of an inch on each side. And I'm just running a distressing tool down those edges now to distress them and bring in a bit of texture. And I'm going to get that stuck on top of the frame. And this is really easy to do. Just add some double-sided tape all the way around the back. And then I just peel off 2 corners, as you can see here, diagonal corners. And then I can get that stuck in place and then just whip the strips off. And there you go, my layout is in place. And I will give you some close-ups in a sec, but off camera, once I'd kind of let everything settle down and I went to take photos, I found on my desk the Nouveau Crystal drops that come in the embellishment kit, and they're silver glitter drops. So you might notice in the close-ups here I've added a few dots of those as well. So I've got a few little dots. Then I also added some kind of lines of it to my background, and then with a plastic spatula scraped it around just to spread a bit of glitter. You can kind of see it there in the middle. It's a really subtle bit of sparkle to the page, but in person it's really pretty. That's just 2 different ways there to use your Nouveau drops. But that is my finished layout, so I hope you've enjoyed it. It is, I think, my last layout before Christmas, so I'll take the time to say Merry Christmas. Hope you all have a fantastic time, and thank you so much for all the support you've shown me this year. As always, I will leave some links in the description box for you to our store, to our subscription page, and also to our Facebook group. But thanks very much for joining me. Merry Christmas to you all, and I will see you next year.